We have yet to see any of the new Colorado players on the field, but I can guarantee they've already made an impact that will change this program for the better.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So thank you guys for making me your first listen of the day. Like I said, free and available wherever you get your podcast. There's a new energy in Boulder. There's a new vibe. There's a new culture. And that's why the new players have already made a bigger impact than what we've expected, and they've already made a huge impact and positive impact on the program. On one of the more recent Well-Off Media videos, there was a little, it wasn't like a heated fight. It was like a kind of like a, I'm letting you know I'm coming fight. It was Khalil Benson coming for David Connor, the Florida transfer from last year who didn't play because he was injured. He was offensive tackle that transferred in from Florida to Colorado. Was expected to have an impact, but obviously got injured. Didn't. Khalil Benson was one of the 5 transfer portal additions on the offensive line that they brought in this year. And Khalil is going up to David's face and telling him, I'm here to take your job. I'm here. I'm here. And he's telling him, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. And then there's also in the same clip that I kind of saw, it was Shane Cokes. And he was obviously on the team this past season, but he was holding Jordan Seaton accountable, the 5-star offensive tackle. He was like, dude, come on, you're supposed to be that word I can't say, but that dude, and you're not being that guy right now. We need you to be better. We need more effort out of you. And this is just an offseason workouts. They don't have pads on. There's not a football in sight. They were doing burpees. They were doing push-ups. They were doing whatever it may be. And the energy is already better. And the sense of accountability is already better. I think the problem with Colorado last year, I've talked about it multiple times, they had a culture problem. Everybody thought that all things were dandy. Everybody thought that all things were fine until adversity came, and none of those guys were prepared to handle it. And so I think it's not really forcing adversity on someone, but by holding someone accountable, they know that everyone cares and that your decisions and your actions impact the team around you. And I think that's huge. And then also, you have to love youngsters stepping up. And I haven't given him enough shine, and that's on me. But Colorado has a running back by the name of Micah Welch. He's a 3-star out of Georgia. He's kind of the overlooked guy in the class this past season, in their recruiting class, even though there's only 6 people. Ranked 764th in the country, 59th overall running back, 88th player in the state of Georgia. Picks Colorado over West Virginia and Cincinnati and Florida. And there's like this cool moment in that same scene I'm talking about, where it's seniors, grad transfers, super seniors, offensive linemen, defense linemen, whatever it may be, all these skill position guys, everyone's gathered around, and he steps up and he says whatever it is to break the huddle. And the coach, the strength coach at the moment goes, whoa, like they were shocked. And obviously taking lead in the huddle doesn't really lead to winning games, or it doesn't equate to wins or losses in the win-loss column right now. But it shows that this team has a new mindset. And I talked about it all last season. I think their mindset was what hurt them the most. And I think this new energy that we're seeing from the new additions is kind of changing that. These guys weren't a part of the team that lost basically, I think it was 8 of their last 9 games. They weren't a part of that team. They were not. This Colorado team got punched in the face a lot. They got basically ridiculed, mocked on social media endlessly. And these guys don't want that to happen to them. They don't want to be on a losing team. Some of these guys are taking a chance on coming to Colorado because they want to boost their NFL draft stock. Will Shepard, he had some issues at Vanderbilt where people said he had body language issues. He had drop issues. This is a chance for him to play an explosive offense. This is a chance for him to show he could be a part of a winning team. He could overcome adversity. He could be the difference maker. Khalil Benson, Justin Mayers, whoever it may be, Yakiri Walker, these new offensive line transfers. This is a chance for them to come in, be the guy on a contending team. Tyler Johnson, same thing. to be a part of a winning offense line that could be the difference between a team winning and making it to a bowl game or a team falling below 500 again. This team needed new attitudes. I don't think they had like a sense of, I think they had sort of a sense of entitlement, and I don't think it was all of Coach Prime's fault, and I don't think it was any of the staff's fault. I think it was just they experienced so much success so quickly, and when you're experiencing that kind of fame in those first 3 weeks, when they beat TCU, they beat Nebraska, they beat Colorado State, which they were supposed to win by quite a bit, but it took double overtime. But either way, they win these games, and they're like, "Oh, Colorado's 3-0. They're projected to have 4 wins. This team is much better than we thought." And I think they read the press clippings a little too much. They were like, "Okay, so and so over here says we're good, so we're good. This article says I'm the best player in the position at this in this conference, so I'm good, right?" And as soon as you know what hit the fan, they were like, "Oh, we aren't ready for this. We don't have the kind of the grit. We don't have the determination for this." And so I think these new guys coming in, they're really showing Coach Prime. There's a reason he was said at the end of the documentary on Amazon, "I want starters. I want experienced guys," because these guys, a lot of them have experienced losses. A lot of them have experienced adversity, and they don't want to experience that again. And at some places like Indiana, who has a new coach, or wherever, UConn or whatever it may be, Houston, these programs, just because they're losing programs right now doesn't mean they haven't experienced success before. But these guys transferred into Colorado knowing that they could still make a difference thanks to their past experience, but they could also be on a winning team. And so they do not want their last chance to be on a winning team in college to kind of boost their draft stock, just win games in general. They don't want that ruined because everybody's not pulling their weight or everyone's not dialed in as they should be. And so if you're a Colorado fan and you're seeing these well-off media videos with new guys kind of pushing everybody, kind of like being like, "You need to be better because I will take your spot and you need to be better. You guys need to listen. You guys need to gather around me. Even though I'm a freshman, you guys need to gather around me." That's huge. That's a program shifting kind of energy. And if that carries over into the spring and continues on, and everybody's kind of building onto it, and the camaraderie, excuse me, is building, which Travis Hunter himself kind of said was an issue they didn't have, was an issue they had last year, was they just so many new guys, it was hard to blend them all together. They could solve their issues and really hit the ground running next season, which would be huge for Colorado. But obviously, there's a long way between now and the start of the season. However, you have to love the energy. You just do it. I'm a big energy guy, and Colorado's energy is looking like it's program shifting. Now, let's see if it translates on the field. I think it will, but it's going to be interesting, to say the least. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get 150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's it, just $5. And that's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is super easy to use, and there's so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays, find bets in the new Explorers tab, or you can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, which is the best way to find popular parlays and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you may get your podcasts. We're talking about the biggest additions of the offseason. I'm going to go 4 total. I think there's a lot I could go with, but I'm going to go with 4. I think there's some really underrated guys that aren't getting the attention they deserve. So these are the guys that I'm going to go with. First, I'm going straight to the offensive line. I think you have to. It's obviously the biggest issue. Tyler Johnson was a quality starter for Houston last season, was one of the best offensive linemen in the country, comes to an offensive line that really needs to replace all 5 guys. And I think people are kind of the mindset like, oh, maybe this guy starts or maybe this guy comes back. No, this should be a whole new offensive line. And I think Tyler Johnson is at the forefront of it. I'm going to compare him together with Jordan Seaton. We're going to count this as 1 because it's offensive line related. Jordan Seaton not only showed kind of the efforts that Coach Prime was making to replace the offensive line from last year, but it showed that Colorado can attract top talent. And I think that's like the one thing that I feel like Coach Prime could do more of, is attract more high school top talent, even though that's not really the route he wants to go at this time. I think it would be really easy for him to put together a top 10 class. Jordan Seaton showed that Colorado could beat out the power programs. Ohio State wanted him. Maryland really isn't a power program, but it's his hometown. Tennessee, power program, wanted him. Alabama wanted him. All these big programs wanted him, and Colorado wins out because of the relationships, because of the attention, the brand that they could bring, and the opportunity to play. And so I thought that was a really huge addition as well. This is another one I'm really excited about this one. I don't know if it's going to pan out as much as I think it will, but DJ McKinney, the Oklahoma State transfer at corner. Last season, Omarion Cooper started, was serviceable. Cormani McClain did not have the impact that many people were hoping he would. Granted, he was a freshman, but there was a lot of off the field things where it's like, Cormani, come on, man. Like, why are we not attending meetings? Why are we late to meetings? Why are we doing this, and that? And a lot of people get on me. They're like, you don't think Cormani's starting next year? I don't think if he was like the guaranteed starter, they'd go out and bring in as many secondary members as they did. I think they know that they need to bolster the defensive back room, and I think DJ McKinney is the perfect pairing for Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter maybe should probably focus a little more on defense. That's just my opinion. I think they need a little pitch count for him on offense, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. But to have someone who is as close to Travis Hunter is pretty much as locked down as it gets. Now, obviously, he's human and gave up some big catches last year, but he's as good as it gets. He's going to be a first round pick in the 2025 NFL draft. DJ McKinney is a good pairing for him. He's someone who has been battle tested. He's proven, and he's played in the Big 12. So he knows what it's like to play in the Big 12. And I think that's a huge, huge advantage for Colorado. So those are my first two. Then this is kind of an example of the rich getting richer. I think they really didn't need a lot of wide receivers, but LaJohntay Wester, and I'll throw in Will Shepherd. So those two are counting as one. Those two receivers. Colorado loses Xavier Weaver. I personally think Travis Hunter needs to focus, not him personally. Like, I think he's definitely kind of the pro be really great at it. Like, I'm sure if you handed Travis Hunter a baseball bat and said, hey, Travis, we need you to hit leadoff and play shortstop or play left field for us, I think he'd probably do really well. But that doesn't mean he needs to play a wide receiver all the time. They lose Xavier Weaver to the NFL draft, which he declared, I think, yesterday, the day before. And you bring back Jimmy Horn, you bring back Marion Miller, you bring back Travis Hunter in some capacity, Tavares Dawson, but I still think they needed game breakers. And so they bring in LaJohntay Wester, who was second in the country in catches and super fast, kind of gives Shedeur another option to throw to. That's a guy that's going to be wide open all the time, a guy that's going to make plays with his legs after the catch. And then Will Shepherd, a big body guy, has experience at Vanderbilt, 6'4", kind of someone who needs to prove that he can overcome the troubles. You know, there's a lot of people talking about when he struggles, his body language is down, then he drops passes or whatever it may be. Colorado should be in the thick of things. They should be contending. They should be winning games. There's no reason for Will Shepherd to kind of have like a poor me attitude going on at any point during the season. So I think realistically, he could be one of their better receivers. So we got Tyler Johnson, Jordan Cena's package deals. We got DJ McKinney at corner, and then we got the wide receivers. My fourth and final one, I got to go with Quincy Wiggins. The LSU transfer did not play much at LSU. And I tell you guys all the time, don't get caught up in the helmet sticker. I think a lot of the times when we look at transfer portal stuff and it's like, oh my gosh, they just landed a transfer from Alabama. And it's like, that's great. Why is he transferring from Alabama? Well, he never played. He played a couple times on special teams and he played a couple times here and there. Or like we landed a former 5-star. And it's like, okay, why is this former 5-star transferring? Well, he just couldn't get in the rotation, couldn't live up to the expectations. Okay, well, some of those guys, obviously there's a chance that they're going to do well, but there's not a guarantee. And it's the same thing with Quincy Wiggins. But I think realistically, he's kind of one of those guys where he just needed an opportunity. Now, this can be said about every one of these transfer portal guys, but he's a freshman, 6'6", 265. He's listed as a freshman. I think with a defense, there's two ways this could go. You could be the next Amari McNeil, who kind of, I won't say he burst onto the scene, but he played well. He was serviceable. Or you could be Bishop Thomas, who has 6 total tackles, was kind of viewed as someone who could be an answer, and you're just not that guy. And I think Quincy Wiggins has a chance to be an impact player for Colorado. I really do. He has the size, he has the intangibles. They just need to unlock him. And so if they can actually unlock him, I think that he could bring a physicality, kind of disruptiveness to this defensive line that they badly need. This defense line was constantly gashed all year last season. It was constant. It was every game. If you could just run the ball forward, you were getting automatic 5-6 yards against Colorado. Quincy Wiggins is going to help disrupt that. He's going to help put pressure on the quarterback. So those are my 4 biggest additions of the offseason. You comment below who your biggest offseason additions are, because I want to know. I really do, because who knows? Maybe I'm overlooking someone. Next, we're going to be talking about Colorado's latest portal addition and departure. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for making me your first listen of the day. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I really do. Colorado lost and gained one recently. So they added Herman Smith from Idaho State. He's a safety. I think this is another good example of and he came from Jackson State as well. Played for Coach Prime at Jackson State. What was that, 2 years ago now, 2022. At Jackson State, he had 18 total tackles, 7 assist tackles, 1 pass deflection, 1 sack, and a pick. And then this past season at Idaho State, he had 12 total tackles, 7 solo, 5 assists, 1 pass deflection. So I think let's be honest. Not every transfer has to be the home run high or the home run hit. Not every transfer is going to come in and be an All-American. I think this is good depth. They need depth. It never hurts to have depth at anywhere, because realistically, Trevor Woods is probably staying at linebacker. So you lose Trevor Woods, and I think Trevor Woods is a serviceable safety. I think people got caught up in me calling him really good. I think he was a solid, good safety. I really do. He was in the right spot, made some big interceptions, made some big plays for Colorado. But you look at their safety situation. You have Roderick Ward, Shiloh Sanders, and then Vito Tisdale, and then they're going to bring in, they brought in the Liberty transfer. What's his name? Preston Hodge. Took me a second. Sorry. New names all the time. Preston Hodge is in the mix. I feel like he could start opposite Shiloh Sanders. Obviously, Shiloh Sanders isn't going to lose his starting spot, but Herman Smith comes in, provides a special teams guy, provides more depth at safety. Injuries happen. Disciplinary things happen. I think that's a good addition. I really do. And then Colorado lost a couple guys to the portal as well. You lose Jaquez Robinson. I think I talked about him before, but this is the prime example of, I think people got excited about the logo of where he was transferring from and not really just his potential. And obviously this could happen with Quincy Wiggins. He comes from a big school like LSU, but I do think he has potential to be unlocked. Jaquez Robinson came in at a very congested position at corner for Colorado, ended up moving to safety, and just really didn't have an impact. He didn't. It's one of those things where not everybody has the impact that you're hoping for or expecting. And I think that was kind of the case there. They lose Jack Wilty, the offensive lineman. Now, a lot of people on social media who are like, oh, Colorado's losing players. Jack Wilty, I hope nothing but the best for him. I really do. I think that the hard part about being at such a high profile place like Colorado is when you transfer or when you fail, there will be thousands of people ready to mock you. It's one of those things where everybody's ready to kind of go at you when you're at your lowest, and people will support you when you're at your highest, but it's more fun to tear someone down than it is to bring them up. And so Jack Wilty has been catching a lot of flack on social media as expected, just because he was a part of this offensive line that really wasn't what it needed to be. We'll just put it that nicely. I think Colorado's offensive line this past season was one of the worst in the country, and he just did not have the impact that he was hoping. He had an overall grade of 35.6, a pass blocking grade of a 13.2, which is as poor as it gets. But nonetheless, still wish him and Jaquez the best. I don't think it worked out in Boulder. Doesn't mean it won't work out at their next stop. Willie Gaines, another receiver, that transferred into Colorado from Jackson State. Didn't work out. I think the one thing that we should know about Colorado or Coach Prime teams in general, he's going to have receivers. He's going to have skill position guys. And you really need to evaluate, obviously Willie Gaines is a good player, but it was a really tight room. It was a really loaded room, and there just wasn't much opportunity for him there. Kendrick Breedlove is at Purdue now. Jeremiah McCrimmon is not out of school yet. Casey Wiseman has been posting offers. I don't think he's landed anywhere at this moment, but he has been. I saw like a Florida offer for him, so it's one of those things where you have to find the right fit for you. And I think the one part that I enjoy about this new transfer rule, I guess you could call it, where they could transfer whenever and not be punished, is that guys get a chance to kind of make up for their mistakes. Like obviously, Casey Wiseman came to Colorado as a freshman, as a high school recruit, but it's one of those things where you like these other portal guys, they make mistakes. It happens. You transfer to a school where it's like, oh, I could still play at this high level here. And it's like, you can, but is that the right fit for you? And I think a lot of times they don't always factor that in. Players that still haven't found a home yet: Marvin Ham, linebacker, and Caleb Faria, tight end. Realistically, I look at this, they lost 13 players to the portal thus far. Outside of Mikey Harrison, who realistically wasn't a tight end. He was like a wide receiver that was big enough to fill in as a tight end. I don't think they really lost much. I think Coach Prime, Van Wells might have been the biggest loss. I think the center, I think another year of experience under his belt would have helped this offense line. But hey, nonetheless, he's at Oregon State now. I think these guys leaving clears the way for more people to come in, but it just kind of shows how difficult it is for guys to make the right decision. That's my kind of take on this for the transfer portal in general. It's hard to figure out what's the right fit for you. And I think a lot of these young college guys, they want to play for big schools. They want to play for big names like Coach Prime. They don't always think about what's the right fit for them. But I will say Colorado has absolutely killed the portal this offseason. I expect this team to bounce back in a major way. And hopefully all these guys in the portal find their proper school for them, and it works out. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs and making me your first listen of the day. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.